Take it away, Ross.
All right, everyone, welcome to the Oconee River Greenway Commission meeting for January 10th, 2021 at 4:03 p.m. We have determined there's a quorum, and I'm going to take a picture of the attendees. Did Diane make it? Oh, okay. Oh, good. All right. I didn't know if she was going to be here, so I was going to take a picture so she'd have a record of who attended. We decided to go ahead and have Brian do your presentation up front, but I'll ask Alex first if there are any public comments.
We have not received any submitted.
Okay. Brian, we have 15 minutes for your presentation. And Alex, you're going to give him screen privileges.
You should be able to share it just as it is.
Yeah.
And
And
at the bottom.
Shannon, do you want to introduce him since you coordinated this?
Yeah, I would be more than happy to do that while he's setting it up. So it's very much my privilege to work with Brian and his students and colleagues from the College of Engineering, and it's the Institute for Resilient Infrastructure Systems at UGA. And Brian is UGA Professor of Resilient Infrastructure. And given the nature of our mission and work, I think a lot of their research and work could be useful to us. And he is not only an engineer and a professor, but he has had experience working in the private sector as a consultant. And he also was kind of the head watershed guru or restoration specialist. I'm sorry, I'm not getting your title right, Brian, for the state of North Carolina. So Brian is one of those wonderful colleagues that has all the science, all the research stuff, but also that government level experience of thinking practically and trying to solve problems too. So it's I became involved with IRIS, his institute, and just some of the work that he's been funded by AT&T to do some flood risk management, kind of spatial planning and information. He'll explain it all. I thought, well, gosh, I think the Greenway Commission, we care about rivers. We care about the fact that they flood. We care about rain, that you might be interested in some of the work that they're doing. So I'll stop and Brian, let you present.
Okay, thank you, Shauna. Can you hear me okay?
We can. I can hear you. And Brian, as a courtesy, if you want, I'll give you a 1-minute warning at 40 minutes.
Okay.
All right.
All right. I'm going to try to go fast so that we have time for discussion and questions at the end. Let's see. I'll approve that, whatever it is. So, Shauna, thank you for that generous introduction. I want to acknowledge my co-presenters here. Haley Seltzer is a master's student at UGA in the College of Engineering, where I'm a professor. And she did a lot of the heavy lifting on this analysis and investigation that we're about to show you that I think you'll find interesting. And also Dr. Rod Lammers played a significant role in this. I also want to thank Shauna and Dr. Mark Reese, who I believe is on the call as well, as my co-investigators on this project. Shauna and I, and also Dr. Reese, we wrote a proposal to the AT&T Resiliency Challenge to try to work on some tools and information that would improve Athens-Clarke County's capacity to plan for flood hazards, to reduce flood hazards and plan for resilient infrastructure into the future, incorporating the potential effects of climate change. And this work you're about to see is an outgrowth of that effort. And we think that some of the information that we've generated will be potentially useful in your planning efforts moving forward. So here's a quick outline of what I'm going to talk about. Basically, we're going to talk about how precipitation patterns in this part of Georgia and the southeast are changing, and that's got implications for our floodplains and our flood risks along our greenways and our drainage networks. I'll show you a few maps of what we found in terms of where the greatest flood risks are in the county relative to where you have current greenways and where you have greenways planned in the future. I'll tie those flood risks to social vulnerability by looking at the demographics of different groups of people, whether by their race or economic status, and who are the people in Athens-Clarke County who seem to be in the floodplains. And then ultimately take a look at how that might change in the future under climate change, and then ask what are the implications for planning greenways. So this first piece of the puzzle, before we get to maps and greenways, is to ask how might precipitation change in the future. Of course, when it rains harder on our pavement and our rooftops and sidewalks, especially in urban areas, we get more flow in the rivers, and we get deeper and broader flood inundation on our floodplains where our greenways are. And so basically we did an analysis of what precipitation is going to look like in the future. We're seeing trends of increasing precipitation in this part of the country. My colleague Marshall Shepard at UGA has documented this. We're seeing harder hitting, juicier thunderstorms with higher rainfall rates. And so one of the first products we generated as part of this project is a new set of data that can be used to design infrastructure, whether it's culverts or bridges or understanding who's in the floodplain. One of the first ingredients of understanding what the future might look like is how much rain are we going to get. So this is basically saying what right now is a 100-year rainfall might go up, close to half an inch. What's a 500-year rainfall 50 years from now may go up a couple of inches, is our best prediction. So these are more robust tools than what we currently are using to design our infrastructure. So we can use this to design greenway strategies and build infrastructure that's not going to lose its capacity under these heavier amounts of future rainfall. Now, moving on to and I don't know where this little gizmo came from right here. Moving on to a map of flood risks across the county by sub-watershed. What you have here is a map of the county that shows the rivers and streams. It's got a solid green line of where there's existing greenways, and it's got a light green dashed line where there are proposed greenways. And the redder the color, the darker the red, the higher the flood risk. And so basically what we did is we took all the parcels in each of these little watersheds and we added up the ones where the 100-year flood touches a structure where there are people living in the floodplain, and we added up all those risks across the watershed. So you can see that there are some areas where you have proposed greenways in the future, like this little sub-watershed right here, where there's the potential to alleviate these flood risks going forward in the future. To generate this flood risk, we used 3 data sources. We used some new flood modeling that recently became available, and we're working to build upon that. We're also using the flood insurance maps, the Federal Emergency Management Administration flood insurance rate maps. So those are the regulatory floodplains. And then we use another data source from Argonne National Laboratories provided by AT&T. We put all those together and we come up with this composite index of flooding. So if you know, greenways can definitely help flooding, and so this can help identify places in the county where the greenways could do the most good to alleviate these flood risks. Now, if we take the same information and we look at it by census tracts, these lines are census tracts, and we see some similarities, but we can zoom in and see where the greatest flood risks are in terms of which census tract areas have the most parcels per area that are at risk of flooding. That flooding touches an existing structure. And so this was a critical step in going the next step, where we asked, who are the people in Athens-Clarke County? Where are the locations where there are the greatest flood risks, and who are the people, their demographics, who are at the greatest flood risk in Athens-Clarke County? So this census tract map allows us to overlay it with information on ethnicity, race, income, etc. Okay, so when we do that, this slide takes a little bit of explaining. What we can do is we can ask, okay, for different demographic groups, whether it's folks who are below the federal poverty line of $12,760 a year in income, are they more likely to live in one of these flood hazard zones where we get inundated, we get water standing in the 100-year flood? Are they more likely to be in one of those floodplains? Similarly, are Black people more likely to be in one of these flood hazard zones compared to everybody else in their census block, or Hispanic people? And so what you're seeing in this map are the most significant differences in terms of the relative risk of different groups of people in being in one of those flood hazard zones. So for example, in the red census tract area, people who are below the poverty line in that red zone there are about 47% more likely to live in the flood hazard zone than everybody else across the than white people who are above the poverty level in that census tract. Same for Black people in those blue polygons up there. In some of them, there's over 2 times or almost 3 times a higher rate of Black people living in the flood inundation zones relative to white people in that census tract, and the same with Hispanic folks in the green ones. So the point being, there is greater risk for economically disadvantaged people and people of color and certain ethnicities in terms of flood hazards in Athens-Clarke County, and greenways can play an important role in reducing those hazards by storing flood waters and being part of a strategy for long-term flood resilience. Here's just a quick example of a tract that's near, that contains the intersection of Millage and Broad Street. So the Varsity is sitting right here in the northwest quadrant. There are no parcels flooded in 2020 for the 10-year storm, but when we use our projections of 2050, we get many parcels flooded, and 123 people have their buildings or residences flooded under the future climate change scenario. So just to kind of wrap it up and put it in perspective here, the next steps for us are to take the existing floodplain maps in Athens-Clarke County and incorporate some of this new information and show people who are at risk that are not being, that's not reflected in those current floodplain maps. This is actually a map of work we did in Charlotte. We haven't done this for Athens yet, but we ran our own models, and you see all those white blocky looking things. Those are houses, and the black line is what FEMA says is the 100-year floodplain, but all of those white blocks there are houses that are in the 100-year flood zone, but they're not mapped on the FEMA floodplain maps. So a big point here is that if you're going to acquire land for a greenway, don't just go to the edge of the FEMA 100-year floodplain. You need a buffer to go on out and address some of these risks that extend beyond the 100-year floodplain. And instead of expressing it as a probability of flooding, we can express these flood hazards in different ways, like is it ankle deep, knee deep, or is it fast enough to knock over a child or an adult or cause a car to run off the road. So when you take urban streams that are highly degraded and altered, like this cartoon here, and you turn them into something more like this with the Greenway, remember that you can have a significant benefit for reducing flood risks, and you can provide a lot of health benefits. Here's a study that came out of the UCLA School of Public Health, where they did a big analysis of the literature, and they basically concluded that every dollar spent on an urban river parkway, every dollar results in $3 to maybe more than $10 of direct medical benefit in terms of reduced risk of disease and better mental health outcomes and so on. So just wanted to put this on your radar as greenways being an important strategy for both flood protection and the health of our community. So to sum it all up, these rainfall events and flood risks are amplifying with climate change. This flood risk that's mounting disproportionately affects certain demographic groups in the county that tend to be economically disadvantaged or disinvested, and greenways have great potential to be part of a comprehensive flood risk reduction strategy. We think some of this information could potentially be useful to inform your planning going forward, trying to prioritize floodplain corridors where we can get the most bang for our buck in terms of reducing flood risk and addressing these social vulnerability issues. And remember that these flood hazards extend well outside the FEMA floodplains, and so it's important to think about riparian buffers to extend that footprint to make sure that we address these flood risks. That's all I've got. I'm going to ask Haley or Rod if they want to add anything, but here's my email address, and again, thank you for the opportunity to share this information. Haley, Rod, anything you'd like to add to that?
No, I think you covered it.
Dr.
And
Blake?
it looks like I ran over a little bit, and I apologize for that.
That's okay. It's very important information. We really appreciate you doing this. And Shanna, thank you for setting this up. Excellent. And I'm sure we'll be in touch with you from time to time as we try to understand the dynamics of these floodplains. Are there any questions from anyone else before we? Yeah, Alex.
I just wanted to ask, so is this will you guys be updating this through time? Are you guys going to keep up with this, or is this just a kind of a snapshot?
Well, this is where we're at right now, and this is, about as far as the AT&T project will allow us to go. But we are, Shauna and I are working with, Shauna in particular working with the sustainability plan, and I'm going to be talking with Mike Wharton and others about how we might continue this work forward into the future. So we want to keep it improving on it. We just have to figure out how to make that happen.
Excellent. Yeah.
I have a quick question. Would you see the opportunity of including this information in our network plan? You see the value of adding this to us?
Are you asking me that question?
I'm just asking everybody. It seems like it's very appropriate to be included.
Definitely at least reference to it. I think we'd have, as we develop the plan or rework the plan, that I think it'd be very important to take this information into consideration. Very important. Anyone have questions, comments?
Well, and we're happy to share any and all information with you. It looks like my WebEx has had a misfire here, but I can still hear you.
Mm-hmm.
So feel free to follow up via email with any questions or comments. But yeah, happy to address other questions.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much. Hearing no other questions, we'll move on to the agenda. The next agenda item is for approval of the minutes. You have to look at the draft minutes. I had no comment. As always, I think Diane just does an absolutely incredible job on this thing. So, any comments on the minutes?
Move to approve.
Motion's been made to approve by, I didn't see.
That was me.
Okay. Susie. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mac. Okay. Any further comment? Motion made to approve the minutes. Do I hear signify with aye?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Minutes are approved. Okay, the next agenda item is chair report. I wanted to be sure that we welcome Carly and Charlie. This is their first official meeting with the group, and thank you for your commitment to do this. This is a very important job.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. And I can't wait till we can sit around a table and talk.
Great.
And I'll just remind everyone we have a new slate of myself, and we have two former well-experienced folks that were reelected as Vice Chair Jake and Secretary Diane. And Lynn is the new treasurer, and I'm the new chair. And I'll stumble through this, and by 6 months, I'll be more proficient at running these meetings. Do you have a picture for us, Al? Let's show a picture of one of our esteemed colleagues having received an award. Everyone see it? Congratulations, Nat. I don't know if you can hear me or not, but that was well-deserved award. And notice that we're all socially distanced and appropriate.
It was a real surprise, and I really appreciate the expression that meant a lot to me. And like I say, that came from out of the blue as far as I was concerned. But that was really nice of you guys to put that together. And by the way, I'm here as a member of the public, and I'll try to keep my mouth shut.
Oh, that's going to be. I'll be careful what I say, Nat. I know you too well. Yeah. I thank Karen for coordinating getting that plaque made. It's a really nice plaque. The next item was a mistake on the agenda. The letter of support for leisure services budget increase went out. And Alex, do you have what you need from us? And that, I think that's all taken care of. And we supported.
I do. Yeah. I appreciate that. And that it is for the requested increases from the SPLOS projects that are all Greenway affiliated.
Mm-hmm. Okay. The next item on the agenda is the Walt Cook Award nomination. And I'm going to ask Karen Porter to comment on that. And I think she has a nomination.
Yeah, last year we looked at several people, and one was Madeline Van Dyke. And to give you a little bit of a background on Madeline, she's been a member of the Greenway Commission for 20 years and there at its inception. When Walt Cook completed his 4 miles of the Cook's Trail, the first section of the Greenway, it was apparent that they were going to have to do something if it were going to be a for real thing. So one of the things that Madeline, who's always been able to suss out funding and support, she and some of the originators like Charlie Agar and Walt, Dan Hope, found funds available through what was called the ICE-T, and I have to spell that out. It was ISTEA, and that was the International Service Transportation Efficiency Act. And they were able to apply for it, had to meet the deadline in 2 weeks. She's a very good writer, and they got over $1 million for that. Within the next 6 months, they wrote a proposal for the first SPLOST, and it was awarded in '99. It was SPLOST 2000. At that point, they had a war chest of over $4 million, and they could begin to finalize a master plan for the section of the Greenway that went from the Nature Center to Dudley Park. And so she really basically was part of that team. Madeline's belief is you just show up, and I like that. She has been involved in everything from the inception of the Council on Aging to the Arts Council. She just shows up and gets it done without. Well, she was chair, and she has been VP and secretary and treasurer of the Greenway Commission. She also helped found the Oconee River Land Trust, which is like a sister organization to the Greenway Commission. It's able to protect land through conservation easements and acquire and hold land, which the Greenway Commission wasn't able to do. So anyway, I'm nominating Madeline for the Walt Cook Award. That is for people who have had exceptional service to the Athens-Clarke County Greenway. So I am nominating her for this year's award.
Thank you, Karen. According to Robert's Rules of Order, I should ask if there are any other nominations. Hearing none, all in favor of the nominee being the Walt Cook awardee for this next award, which I think is in March, right? Presented in March. Signify with aye.
Aye.
Aye. Don't think there's any opposition. I see some thumbs up. Those are good. These people that are so good at computers, it's annoying me.
You have to teach us how to do that.
Yeah. Here you go.
What am I doing here? Oh.
So, no, okay. That's all that I had for this meeting. We go to the treasurer budget report. Lynn, did you want to comment on the budget?
Yes, absolutely. There has been, we submitted our budget with great guidance from the previous chair, and we submitted no surprises, no big changes. We applied for a budget of 16,000, and we submitted it, and we had no problems whatsoever. Should they arise, we'll tackle them. But we're gonna see how we can allocate the budget for the next year. Hopefully, we'll increase our reach and increase our education and opportunities. That's really all I have. But if you have any questions about the budget, I'll be very happy to answer them. But be patient with me. I'm getting to learn the ropes too. I think I will be proficient in 6 months as well.
Yeah. The one thing that we did get, I think, Lynn, we had an email back from Lisa in the county, said that they would probably review budget February 23rd and 24th. And at that time, Lynn and I and Jake agreed to go with us since we're the two newbies and he's the senior citizen in the group. Then we'll go and defend the budget if we're requested to. And that's February 23rd or 24th. Okay, thank you, Lynn.
Of course.
Okay, committee reports. I got a text from Jake. He could not attend. Something came up that he is not able to attend. He apologized. He'll do his report next time. I will mention the fact that did join him yesterday on Martin Luther King Day service at Dudley Park. And we just did a lot of kudzu and privet and other things and picked up some trash. So that was very successful, and we appreciate Jake coordinating that activity. Let's go to planning.
Okay. First of all, there's at this point in time, the Cartwright carriage lane, there's no update on that. There's no survey been set up as yet. So that one's kind of holding, although we're ready to go as soon as we can find a survey team and get that one going. But the other major item on the agenda, of course, is the cemetery, Oak Hill Cemetery, and movement there, and that has begun. There is a construction team that's been identified, and they're not of the typical build and type of project. This is going to be a little bit different, and so it's going to move a little more quickly and a little more easily, I think. But the Easley Mill section of it, I think we'll be watching that, and I think Laura's kind of got her hands tightly around that one's neck. So I think that's going to work real well. She seems to be pleased with how that's developing. We do have the network plan ready to go before the mayor and commission on February the 8th. But before it goes to the mayor and commission, I think it's appropriate that the group here vote on, and there was a great deal of work done on the maps, updating the maps, getting those appropriate from the point of view of the public input. And there were some changes there that the public input suggested that we felt were appropriate, and we incorporated those in. And those are ready to go. Those are available for you to look at. But we would like to have a vote from this group on that network plan to go forward to the mayor and commission. I think that's the appropriate action. Am I not correct, Alex? That the right step?
I can do it now. I was waiting until the staff report, but
Okay.
yeah, I've got Greenway Network Plan stuff for you guys.
Okay, you want to jump in there?
Yeah,
Yeah, let me jump in here. Let's just take care of this.
Yeah.
Okay, go for it.
All right, so Greenway Network Plan. This is our response dashboard. Again, we had a lot of comments come in, summarized over here on the right. It is 123 comments from 45 people. This dashboard is something that Daniel Sizemore put together. It really is, it's awesome. I know he's on here, and please jump in if you feel like I've missed something or mischaracterized something. Through this, and this has been shared with the planning group, the planning committee, you can see as someone made a comment, they gave us some information, and they also told us which of the trail segments they were making a comment on. So we can see that the Beach Haven Trail did receive most comment. It is through the Beach Haven parcel, and of that, you can see all these things change with it. So the comments here, sorry, it's taking my screen a second. The comments here, 92.3% positive, only a little bit of neutral in there. So overall,
one thing in real quick, Alex.
Yeah, man.
With that particular one, it received 17 comments. At the top right corner, the number's wrong right now. I have one edit I have to make that makes it filter it. But just know that if you click on Beach Haven again, you'll notice over on the right you get results for both Beach Haven Trail and that one in the bottom left corner. Since it's in the view, it's so that's why there's 26 comments here. But that's, yeah, zooming in slightly will fix it. So
also, if you hover, I like this too. If you hover, you can actually kind of it'll give you also how many comments. So overall, had a lot of great input from this. Lines were shifted, and I'll show you guys the maps in a second. Overall, let's see, Cook's Trail, out of the 2 negative comments, what we have characterized as negative feelings towards the trail, Cook's Trail received 1, and McNutt's Creek also received 1. And then there were a couple neutral as well, and, you know, most of them were talking about spending tax dollars differently, kind of a little bit of a theme throughout. But this is something that we're going to be presenting to the mayor and commission. Again, Daniel kicked some real butt on this, and it looks great. So from this, we took all this information and we're able to update the map. So this is one of 4 maps that this is your Greenway Network Plan that you guys will be voting on. So you can see here, we've got them broken out. These are 11 by 17 maps. This is our west area. Palisade Forest is here. Ben Burton is here. Simplified are a lot of the codes. It still uses that typical coding that you'll see throughout your printed Greenway Network Plan book, where proposed is kind of that yellowish cream color, existing is that dark, almost red clay color, and funded is that pink. Water trails are also on here as little nodes or circles. And you can see the McNutt's Creek is on the map now. We've also we did eliminate after a long conversation in a planning committee meeting, there was a trail stick in here. This is within Cleveland Road, and that did go away. You can also see that we've highlighted a couple possible connection points for when the next county over decides they want to, hook into us. These are just suggestions. This is not us as Athens-Clarke County promising anything, but they are ideal connection points that could be made down the road. So this is, again, it's the west side. We've also got the southeast. So you can see here, State Botanical Gardens, Whitehall Forest, Rock and Shoals, Southeast Clarke, and then the airport loop going around the airport. And the Firefly just up here at the very top. And you can see that we have most of it on the ground, but we did stop short just because until Oglethorpe's ready, that last little bit won't make it in. And then same thing down here. Here's another possible connection going south from the Greenway trails. Here we have our northeast. Does include the Firefly Airport. Here's Trail Creek Park, which we should change the title to Virginia Walker Park on this map. Sandy Creek Nature Center and Sandy Creek Park. And you guys, the little dotted brown is Cook's Trail. So it's on the ground Greenway trail that's not multi-use currently. And then our last map, our fourth map, is the inset map, where we kind of try and show a little bit more detail along the river corridor here. We've got our on the ground MLK extension right here, and Lake Park, Linden House are in this area. So those are the four maps. I think everyone in this group has seen them in some iteration. It was nice that we got such good public input that we changed things. It did just create another set of maps for us all to have to look at. But again, I think most people have seen these, and Daniel's walked through a more fluid map presentation of this already with I think most of you guys. So were there any questions while I've got these up? Seeing a lot of head shakes.
Just my comment. These young people have taken a tremendous amount of information and condensed it and put it into a format that's understandable, that's clear, that's concise, and I can't say enough good stuff about these two. They're just phenomenal.
It's excellent work. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So appreciate that. And again, I will reiterate that these are all, everything that's proposed on here, is far reaching. 50 years is sometimes what I would say at the public input session. So just understand this is our ideal setup, but got to have it on a map. You got to start somewhere. So with that said, I'm going to stop sharing and I'll hand it back over to Susie.
Okay, so my recommendation is that we accept it as the Greenway Commission so that it can go forward to the Mayor and Commission for their approval, and it will be sent to the manager's office about a couple of weeks beforehand, so they have a chance to digest it as well. So they'll lay eyes too. So I'll put it out there for a vote. All in favor?
Well, I need a second. That's the motion. We need a second. Do I hear a second?
Well, if it's a recommendation, Ross, do we really?
I'll second.
Yeah.
I'll second it.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Go ahead.
It's a strong recommendation, Susie.
All in favor, stick your hands up. Anybody?
Right. The recommendation sells. Thank you, Susie and Alex. Okay.
Yeah, so from here, I'll just let you guys know. So I'll be doing the presentation. It is the story map that we put together for the public input session, and Daniel's been working on it, kicking butt. So we'll be pushing that forward. So February 8th is where we'll go to them the first time.
Okay. Susie, more? Do you have more?
Well, just a couple of other items, not real huge ones, but we're still taking a real hard look at Cook's Trail. There is money, but there needs to be a design before we go charging in there and trying to fix or patch or make do with what we've got. So right now it's going to be a design kind of idea to make sure we put it in the right place for, it doesn't get washed away by the next flood. Since we now know a little more about the flooding issue. I think on the wayfinding, there's some movement there. We are looking into wayfinding. Right now, the first phase of that will probably be wayfinding signage. Let me clarify that. We want to go more signage and more consistent signage, and the first section of that will probably go with Firefly, since they have some grant money from RTP to do that. So aside from that, I think that's enough for one day.
Well, let me mention, Jennifer, did you have some comments on that? You had some comments about signage and wayfinding on the trail.
Yeah, I did. I've received some concerns and comments from some colleagues and friends that have been using the Greenway lately, particularly about signage and getting lost in that area around the orientation point where there's like the huge flower art sculptures. And they talked about running into kind of dead ends. And I think it's trails parts that are going to be completed at some point, but there's not really good directional signage there. And like they couldn't get back to the parking. They didn't know which way to go to get back to the parking lot they were in. and I actually had gone out there with a friend a week or so ago and kind of had a similar experience that, especially if you're out walking and talking with someone, it's really difficult to get your bearings at different places because it used to be the kind of dirt trails and there was some circular areas and I just didn't know if there were any updates on, I know we had talked a number of meetings ago about improved signage and wayfinding, and I just was wondering if an update on that.
Yeah, okay. So I love this. My staff report's going to be nothing by the time you guys get to me. Cool.
Yeah.
We're stealing your thunder, Alex.
Yeah.
It's all good. So, yes, wayfinding is something very high on our list, but we also understand the value of doing it at the whole, like doing it as a whole, doing the whole trail. Because right now you'll notice that the mileage markers that do exist start there at Cook and Brothers Plaza, which is at the back end of Dudley Park. But then sometimes people refer to the start of it being at Sandy Creek Nature Center. So there's some things, some nuance with that, especially as it becomes more of a system and less of a line. So I will say, again, park planning, Daniel specifically, but the whole team there, they've been working hard on what wayfinding looks like. And I am happy to share with you guys. So what was done was a standard was created, and we started with the Firefly because they that 501c3 received funding for a model mile down in Maxey's, and so this is what we plan wayfinding to look like. So wayfinding should look like this for the Firefly. For Greenway, it would be a blue and teal or blue and yellow. It would match the colors of the Dragonfly, the Dragonfly compared to the Firefly. That is y'all's logo. But you can see this is the idea. They chose not to use any of the icons. Typically, when we were planning these, we will have these little icons that fall into here that represent a bathroom, a water fountain, things like that. But it's great. I was very happy. I ended up in Maxey's for a completely unrelated situation. But on my way walking back, I was very happy to see these and take some pictures. So this is what our wayfinding should look like. Again, it'll match whichever trail it is on. And now that we see how it looks and have a good way forward with it, you should see us kind of moving on some funding options. One big thing, it's kind of like the elephant in the room, is that Dudley Park is a construction zone and will be a construction zone very soon and for like a year at least. So some of our plans for wayfinding is kind of hard to plan because, that Firefly trestle they're about to start working on it. So once that's put through, it'll make a whole lot more sense where the Firefly Trail is. Same thing, for a little while, you won't be able to go through Dudley Park because they're building the restroom and the teaching pavilion. But once that's done, it'll be, we'll be able to put signs in the ground. So there will still be a little bit of a gap there, especially at the Dudley Park interchange, that area. But we are definitely working on it. And I'll go ahead and jump into this. So with the cemetery, we have accepted a contractor at risk. So a construction manager at risk, which is that different style that Susie alluded to. It's good because unlike a typical one, we've also got a very important third party involved in this, which is the cemetery board. But once that backbone gets built, I think that's Alex's term or Mac's term, one of those guys. Once the backbone of trail gets built through there, it should be a 12-month turnaround from notice to proceed to completion. Once that happens, we'll really have a good boom. All right, let's throw some wayfinding on it because it makes sense where the trail is. For us, it's always been this like, do we spend tax dollars on putting signs in that we're going to have to change in 6 months, 3 months? But anyway, it seems like all the things are aligned to come up with some good wayfinding, which is like a non-answer. I'm sorry, but I hear you. I want signs.
Yeah. Well, that helps.
Thanks, Alex. I appreciate your input there. And really, that's pretty much all I have at this point. So.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions? All right. The next is natural resources, Karen.
Yeah, there is a natural resources committee meeting up for Tuesday, the 26th at 4. I really invite especially new members to come because we're going to look at, among other things, 3 properties that are designated exceptional resource areas that we've been talking about: Tallahassee Forest, Beach Haven, and Matthews Motors, and Rock and Shoals. So we're going to take a look at that. I've got some input from Mike Wharton. I really hope that he'll be able to attend. We're also going to talk about access, trespass, and also guidelines for access for groups like ourselves, teaching groups like Ollie. Just kind of go over those requirements. Also, I would like to set up and get approval for some field trips. We've talked about the Easley Mill section. If I can get approval for a suite of field trips, I think that would be a good one. I know people don't have a ton of time, but that would get us to the graveyard, the cemetery. The other one, Sandy Creek, to their, correct me if I'm wrong, Susie, but I think it's a brickwork or brick building. And also beyond, people can keep going. And also, we've got Easley Mill. We also have Dudley Park to Firefly, and we've got that section of Carr Creek. So if we can, I think the thing is we're going to have to do is just put out a notice on when the trips are occurring, because it's very hard to get everybody to agree. And we'll just kind of come back again and hit them a little later in the year. But we're talking about these sections over and over again, and I think it'd be really useful for people to take a look at them. So that, with your approval, I assume that the commission is going to approve of those field trips. I hope. I guess maybe I'll just move to approve field trips for the Greenway Commission to sections along the Greenway, specifically right now Easley Mill, Sandy Creek, and the children's playscape and bathroom, and Carr Creek, and others as the opportunity arises. Can I get a second?
Yeah.
Second.
Alex, second. Question, comment?
Is Car Creek acceptable?
So discussion.
Yeah. Okay, Alex.
Discussion. Are these field trips limited to members of the ORGC and ex officio members?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. That, as long as there are no guests, that is where we get to a weird.
Yeah.
If you were not ORGC and you were having a gathering that invited the public, open invitation to the public, that's where you start to, it gets kind of weird for us because we do require permits for that, special event permits, separate from access permits.
Yeah, my intention
So, anyway.
is like the other trips we sometimes go on, it's purely Greenway commissioners to get a visual on what we've been talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I can get back with you. We figure that we can, I know that Diane had suggested go from the park, we go along the river, following what's put in there and then going a little further and then getting up Cars Creek, probably on the new series.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the one, I'm sorry, Ross. I would just really worry if you guys end up in places where trail does not exist without getting permission from easement owners. And that, I just worry for y'all's safety at that point, because you guys are just look like a bunch of trespassers out there. You know what I mean? You guys kind of pick up what I'm putting down. I just don't want you to get, shot by someone, a private property owner.
Well, let's make sure that I know what we own and what we don't own, because my former knowledge may be, we've already acquired the Cartwright property, right?
Yeah.
So we're we're going along the river and then we'll peel off and go up Car Creek. So I think that's all county easement.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the orientation for us new folks would be very helpful, because you talk about these places. I've been to several of them, but a lot of them I haven't been to. And I think I'm not speaking for Ken or Carly or Charlie, but I get kind of confused because I don't know where some of these are. Very helpful to do that. And you're right, Alex, safety. And I think when we schedule a trip, we should communicate and just make sure that there's no glitches. Yeah.
Right. And Mike has some very good guidelines or policy regarding what we bring along, medical kits, designating who responds to with 911. We've got a nice outline of what is expected of us when we go on these little adventures. Always wear your red vest, etc.
Okay. Any other comments? Karen, is that it?
That's it. I'll just sort of start to send out some dates, and we'll just, if only 3 or 4 or 5 people can go, that's fine. We'll bring it back around again later. But we're talking about sections that most people have never, ever seen.
Okay.
And I'll coordinate with that one.
Ross, I have one comment I didn't make at the end of my presentation. Anyone who feels strongly that they would love to participate in the planning process, you are more than welcome. We will meet on the first Tuesday of the month, which at this at 4:00, and Zoom information will be put out, and I'll extend it to the entire group. And some of the newer members may want to sit in on that, see what it is we're doing, and see if that's something you want to be a part of. Okay?
Yeah, it was very valuable for me as a newbie to attend each of the different committees.
See what we're doing, yeah.
To see what was going on.
Thank you, Ross.
Yeah, and I think each committee is a very valuable committee for the commission. So you're certainly welcome to serve on more than one. All right. we'll go to staff reports and Alex shortened version of it.
Yeah, really. All right, so Cartwright, if everything sticks with the weather, they could be staking it out as early as next week. Actually staking out now. Again, this staking is the alignment for when we were just going to be cutting the tight easement through. Now that there's a much wider buffer that's been acquired, we'll be able to look at the lines, see where it wants to go, all that kind of stuff. So if you guys are interested in going to Carr's Creek, that one's a closed parcel for now, so that really we would need to talk about you guys going out there. And then we still are holding that 10-person groups really should be the biggest thing that you guys are in. That's just that leisure services thing, and that's leisure services is kind of in charge of that middle part where you'll be. So I feel confident saying you need to limit your group size to 10. Once it's staked, once we have there will be a big formal walk that's going to be like SPLOST office and all these other people. But after that, the stakes will stay, and then that might be the opportune time to go out there. Is after the stakes are in the ground, we might be able to go back out there with y'all's group. Again, just trying not to get too big of a group together. I don't want us to break our own rules. So anyway, so Cartwright's happening. Greenway Network Plan we already hit, and I already showed you guys Maxie's Firefly for the signage, which again, it was kind of a surprise to see it, and I'm pretty stoked that it's out there. One other comment on that, you will see down the left banner of their sign is a map, and that is it's like their PR map. Sorry, Alex, your feedback on it. That's their PR map. Our plan, we'll see if we can pull it off, is for that map to actually change relative to where you are on the sign. Once you're in Athens, once you're on the Greenway or Firefly, that map should actually mean a little bit more to you compared to just being like this overall 40-mile stint. So anyway, so that is another difference on those signs that I will mention. Let's see. So I also raise your hand. You don't have to unmute or anything if you guys saw the most recent North Downtown development plans. Okay. So I'll share one more. I'm going to share screen one more time. Every time I do it, it feels like it takes me forever, so I'm sorry. But just to show you guys, again, this is a non-leisure services effort. It's got a lot of partners involved with it, mayor and commission being some of the main ones. But so this is just outside of downtown. You can see College Avenue coming through right here, the longest stick extending off the north of the sheet. We've got our trail, our Pulaski Heights Trail. They didn't call it out, but it is right here, connects to the Council on Aging, Linden House, Play Park. So within this area, they're talking about a couple connections. And when we were putting the maps together, we were taking their drafts into account. So it's not as highlighted in these versions of the maps as they were on other ones. But you can kind of see, and I'll just zoom in on my screen so you guys can see a little bit better. But there is going to be a mall type walking area, a kidney bean looking field that kind of matches what's there at Boulevard Woods, a little amphitheater looking thing, and a stormwater pond. I'm thinking very Fourth Ward park feel. It's what it looks like to me. And then let me go to page 17. That's the other one I've got a note on. Now this is up and available online. You guys can definitely check it out on your own. But I did just want to bring it up in front of this group that there is some affiliated things happening, and you can see the trail a lot better on this one. So this green space is happening right across from where our trail ends, and I think they've called for crosswalk in one of these pages. So pretty neat to see. I love the design element of the reestablishing the downtown road grid, which is kind of cool because it just makes it look really neat. They actually speak to that right there. And then I guess this is that last the most zoomed in that you can kind of see their field amphitheater stormwater feature with a potential crosswalk that goes over to the existing trail. So just want to put that on everybody's radar. It's at it's underneath my screen sharing. I can send it out, but it's the North Athens development plan, and they've come out with what they're calling their final or draft final master plan. And so it is open and available, and I can't get to where the tab is, so I'm sorry about that. One other thing we've got going on, is it stopped now? Excellent. Okay, so I already told you guys about the cemetery, which is very exciting news. I can share with you guys that the cemetery contractor is the same contractor that built the Easley's Mill and East Campus and South Greenway. So really they are tying those two sticks together, the ones that they've already built, Astra. Good firm. We're working with some of the exact same people that did the East Campus Bridge. Very excited about that. So they will be tying those two together. They are also the selected firm that will be working over on the trestle. So none of it technically signed yet, but it has been a recommendation. So they will be working in the same vicinity, which is, for us, it's kind of nice because it means that there should always be somebody to talk to, whether we walk over here or walk over there. Because of all that, the Easley's Mill trailhead may become their default trailer parking spot for a while, for the 12 months. They need a place to set up a little bit of a base camp. It makes sense there. We do not want to shut down that south portion of Greenway because people are going to campus, people are going to the UGA park and ride. People are commuting over on that side. Brian from the Hub commutes on that side all the time. So, we don't want to shut that side down at all. And it just makes sense for Easley's Mill, since it is a short little trail to nowhere right now. That's the side that we'll give them construction access to as they come in and come out. So thanks, Lynn. Appreciate that. Lynn shared the link. Anyways, that's the cemetery. And like I said, 12-month turnaround. The bridge, the trestle bridge, we should see some progress with that soon. And we had pre-construction meetings last week with all those, which means that we're getting really close to notice to proceed. And the trestle work, I think that's 18 months. I'm pulling that off the top of my head, but I think that's an 18-month turnaround. All at the same time, we've got SPLOST building bathrooms. So you should see progress on the ground today in Dudley Park of bathrooms and a teaching pavilion and intermediate area between those two things on the ground happening, which is very exciting. Because of that, we've talked about this a little bit. We will have some disruption in connectivity, and we're going to do our best with signage to say, hey, you can't go this way. You can't go from Firefly to Greenway for this next couple weeks. We always put it up online. We always try and put it on Facebook. Rose West, our supervisor out there, does a great job of getting that information out. So we're going to do our best, head it off with information. But if you guys are curious, you should be able to see most of it from the existing Firefly coming in East Broad, or looking up from Poplar Street. But just again, you guys are volunteers. You're very valuable to us. Please don't get hurt trying to take a picture of something or slide into a construction zone. So I think that's most of everything that I wanted to mention. Oh, Firefly 3. So there has been public input on Firefly 3, which is that part right before Winterville. So there's a meeting of that user group to kind of talk about those alternates and to see which makes the most sense. So some traction should be happening with Firefly 3 sometime soon. And if you've already been out, you notice that Firefly 2 is on the ground. And you'll also notice that this week we're fixing the end of Firefly 1. So we've got a lot of things going on, trying to make it safe for everybody. Lots of irons in the fire. So that's it for me. Any questions?
No, except Alex, I'm going to get together with you to make sure that the field trips are copacetic.
Copacetic, I love it.
Copacetic.
Yep. Okay. Thanks, Alex. Next is Sustainability Office. Mike?
There we go. I'm unmuted. So greetings. We have a few things going ourselves. We just got through with the day of service. We had we sponsored two sites out of sustainability. One was Rock and Shoals and one was Dudley Park. So we had quite a bit of action in both places, good crowds. You may be hearing shortly a representative from the Oconee Rivers Greenway Commission will be asked to attend a charrette dealing with clean and renewable energy action planning for our community. So that's coming up. We're kicking that off. After we get through with this series of meetings, we will then start the public input meetings, so where everybody can jump in and have fun. And that's setting the stage for, based on what the mayor and commission approved, we're moving Athens toward clean and renewable energy. They set a benchmark of 2035 for Athens-Clarke County government to be there, and for the community to move that way by 2050. So I want to kind of follow up a little bit more with what Alex was saying, because you think that Dudley Park is just going to get blown up. I mean, we just have to go with that fact. So if you haven't had a chance, for the folks who haven't been part of this for a while, this area, there's a project that was approved by the mayor and commission back in 2019 called the Restore Our River Project. It is where we are committed to restoring a mile of river from Oak Street, which is here, all the way to College Avenue here, to high priority habitat according to the state of Georgia's listing, as well as some high quality habitat, and turn that begin to promote our wildlife corridors, our ecosystem services, to restore those because they have been severely degraded from our invasive plants and urbanization. And being a good government agency, we of course divided it up in two phases because government loves to do things by phase. So the first phase was up here between College Avenue and North Avenue. It's the MLK section. It is where the trail has been, the Greenway Trail has come through. If you haven't been there, you would have, if you have been there, you've noticed that there's a lot of work that continues in that area. We've been working really hard to get the invasive plants out, and we will be, hopefully we've already started planting, replanting, restoration planting, and about an acre of it. It's 13 altogether. And those will be progressing as we whack down the invasives and get to that point. We do have some grant funding that has allowed us to do that. At this end, we've been working with the Audubon Society. They've come in and we worked with them, our team did, and we planted about 3/4 of an acre this past fall. And we will, so you can see that pollinator meadow start up in the spring. It's going to be pretty exciting to see. That's the first planting that occurred on this side. The second phase is here at Dudley Park, and I'll talk about that in a second. We have third phase is in between North Oconee River Park, east and west, and the Civil War gun emplacement site up here is number 4. We currently have no funding for phase 3 or phase 4, but we are optimistic. Phase 2, which is Dudley Park, was we were able to get a grant from the Georgia Outdoor Stewardship Fund. I will get to brag. Our team put together, it was Leisure Services, Sustainability, and Lost Office, and we put together a proposal that made its way to the top of the list. We were the #1 project for the state in park and recreation areas, and we're pretty proud of that. As a result, over here is what was submitted for the restoration end of it. Alex has been talking about a lot of the Firefly and some of the other things. This area through here where the rail trail is going to be blown up by the rail trail construction for about a year. So that's in this area of the park. So to orient you, this is, of course, the North Oconee River. Here you have Oak Street. You have Mama's Boy here. You have Chicopee over here. So that kind of orients you around the park over in this area. I should say over in this area is Chicopee. There you're going to see a lot of development here is where he's talking about with the rail trail. And here is the road that they're going to rebuild at the end of Oak Street. So they're going to rebuild the bridge there and widen and put the trail underneath it. So this end of the park will be blown up. and this area of the park will be blown up. What you're seeing, these different colors, what they represent are the approximately 20 acres that sustainability will be restoring. The dark brown areas are mature overstory. So we're looking at doing more restoration forestry there, where we're going to clean out the invasives and put in some high quality understory through there, and regenerative forestry, where we're putting in trees to replace the older trees as they fall out and die. The lighter brown area is your bottomland hardwood habitat. We'll be again removing the invasives and going in and planting a variety of understory plants and replacement trees for future forests. The yellowish areas are going to be the meadow areas. Those are meadow conditions that we'll be restoring in those areas. You can see in this area over here where the stream is at the bottom toward the bottom of Poplar Street. We're going to be restoring the bank through that area for about 150 feet. So the orange is the area, this is the Firefly connector. This is where the restroom and the pavilion will go. Over in this area will be a fishing pier. And over in this area, there'll be a bridge across the creek leading from the parking lot to some trails that are off of Mulberry. We're currently, if you haven't been by there, we've already taken down several invasive plants, and we'll have the masticator in about 2 weeks, and it's going to chew up the rest of them. We did work extensively this month to kick off the ACOR group. That is a group of people that has been funded by the Athens-Clarke County Mayor and Commission. It's a cohort of individuals who are learning extensive amount of information about land management, construction. They are we're doing a lot of both soft skill training, like how to get a job, how to interview. They're really people who want to make a difference and get employable and move to maybe even a different profession. So we're introducing them to land management and to construction are the two things that we're focused on for the moment. And they'll be working extensively throughout Dudley Park with the project. You'll also see these dots that are up here. Those are nesting and roosting boxes that we're putting in at Dudley Park. The ACOR group will be helping us put those in, as well as removing the invasive plants. But they'll also be working on trails and the fishing pier and some other things as well. So we're pretty excited about them being involved in this process. As part of the grant, we also included a canoe launch, creating the first blue trail, which has a start and an end in Dudley Park from College to Dudley. So that's going in up off the MLK, where the Greenway parking lot is. It comes down from that location. We're also putting up some nesting and roosting boxes here. And down here was the Audubon planting area. So when it comes to Dudley Park, you're going to see crews in there over the next 6 to 8, really 3 to 4 months. There will be crews pretty much constantly in and out. And then you'll start seeing the big equipment roll in, and then we'll do some restoration work on that. And we're going to see Dudley Park pretty much transform itself in the next 2 years to something pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So that's it for me.
Wow, a lot going on, Mike. Thank you. Any questions? Okay. Let's see. I still show planning vacant.
So planning, I checked with planning, and they didn't have any information to share. And then they're still in the hiring process for our liaison. And next on your list is what? Athens in Motion.
Athens in Motion.
Okay, so I got an update. So our ex officio is the bike ped coordinator over in Transportation and Public Works. They're in the hiring process right now. And but I got an update on some projects from the assistant director over there. I'll just read them off to you guys. So Cherokee Road multi-use path, which is a whole path off the side of Cherokee Road, it's project concept approved. It's in preliminary plans phase. So construction estimated to start in spring of 22. Also, so Riverbend Road between South Millage and College Station Road is it's same deal. It's a multi-use project concept phase. Mayor and Commission will vote on a preferred concept February 2nd voting session. Also, another one is the Jefferson River Road multi-use path between Old Jefferson Road and Vincent Drive. Preliminary plans phase and construction's estimated to start spring of 22. And that was exciting because that directly ties into some of the lines that we just added to the map, our Greenway network plan. West Broad is a sidewalk project. It's under construction and final completion estimated within the next month. So on West Broad, it just says West Broad Sidewalk Project. So I'm not exactly sure what the terminations are on that one. And then Barber Street, between North Chase Street and Boulevard, there is a project concept going on right now. Mayor and Commission will vote on that concept April or May. So those are the 5 bullet points. Those are all Athens in Motion projects that are in some way connected to the goals of pedestrian safety and isolated trails. And they are also wanting to update us that they should have the position filled within the next 2 weeks.
Wow.
So that's good to hear. Some good candidates there I know of. So that's from them.
Thanks, Alex. Questions? Moving right along then. Ex officio reports, Upper Oconee Watershed Network. Any report there? Hear none. Firefly Trail. Somebody turn on the mic. Anything on Firefly Trail? No. Bike Athens. Scott, you have something?
No updates, thanks.
No updates, okay. Any items to put on new business?
I have a note. This is maybe something I should have sent to you, Ross, to get on the agenda, but I don't think it's huge, and I'm still learning how this works, so sorry, guys. Thanks for having me here. I'm excited. I was contacted by Sorba Athens right after I was appointed. I quickly emailed Nat to say, should I even meet with them? Is this appropriate? I said, sure, go ahead, but let the commission know. So here I am letting you guys know. I also, when I met with them, I had not been, I wasn't an official commission member yet. So I let them know I was basically meeting with her as a individual and as somebody, as an employee of Athens Land Trust, as an invasive management person. And also I do mountain bike. So I'm also part of that community a little bit too. So I think really the only thing that I need to report is that they are interested, it seems like, in becoming an ex officio member. I'm not sure what that process is like or if they're a good candidate to be a member in that capacity. But I told Andrea, who I met with, that I would let you guys know, and she would like to have some time to speak to us in a meeting in the future. It doesn't have to be the next meeting, but they want to, they have some stuff to say to us, I guess. So.
Okay. Well, thank you. I think we'll discuss this at the executive committee meeting and then determine, how we move forward. Is that fair? Comment?
Yeah, but Carly, did they say exactly anything about what they want to say to the Oconee Greenway Commission?
Not, she had a lot to say to me, but I'm not exactly sure. I don't think she has a specific proposal or anything for the commission. I think it's more so, Sorba feels like they're an organization that should be involved in as a member, would like to hear what is going on with the Greenway Commission. So I think it's more so just that they want to, you know, be a part of it. I don't think it's really that they have a specific. I mean, maybe they do. So I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely, I got you.
This is Alec Patterson. I'd like to know what SORBA stands for. What is
Southern
SORBA?
Off-road bicycle riding. It's a mountain bike group.
Okay.
It's the
okay.
Southern Off-Road Biking Association.
Yeah.
There are so I got to do a full disclosure with you guys. So Leisure Services maintains and is currently working on a memorandum of understanding with SORBA Athens, which is the Athens chapter, and it actually does a whole region. So they're responsible for pretty much all the counties around us, including like Fort Yargo, Hard Labor Creek. They have partnerships with all those agencies to actually maintain, build trails, and they're always looking for new places. So anyway, Leisure Services has an MOU with them for operations at Walker Park, and they're helping. Well, they are constructing the pump track there. That will be a really nice feature because that kind of gets kids into mountain biking. And from there, we're going to see where it goes. If there's other places, other opportunities within Athens-Clarke County. So just again, full disclosure, SORBA has an agreement with us. We work with them. We talked to them. I talked with them last week. And Scott's been on some of the calls that I've had with them. I mean, so we try and keep communication up, and we're working on getting better communication with them, more frequent communication with them. So anyway, just letting you know, that's what SORBA is. That's what they do. They did recently, I did see that I'm not sure how official it was, but there was an announcement that Firefly Inc. was interested in the side trails, so a dirt path alongside a Firefly trail. Now, I will say that is not the Athens-Clarke County portion of Firefly. That would be the Athens-Clarke County runs the part that's within Clarke County, and the 501c3 can deal with the further parts south. So if you see that or if you hear about that, that's with not with Leisure Services or with Athens-Clarke County. That's with the that group.
Okay. Any other comments? Question? Yeah, Karen, you're muted, Karen.
You're muted, Karen.
Alex, you said something about a hiring position for a liaison. Is that a liaison between Leisure Services and the Greenway Commission?
Can you clarify what I'm your liaison?
You said something
about planning.
He was talking about the plan.
No, you're not going to sideline me, Karen. You're not going to get
Good attempt, Karen.
It's beach ups.
Yeah. We have two ex officios. One is planning department, and one is transportation public works. Both of those are vacant. Both of those will be hired on. So that's Mark. When Hillary was here, she was the bike ped person, and when Mark was here, he was the planning person. And so we'll get new people in those positions soon. We still are. Certain positions still have a 120-day hiring freeze, hiring hold, just to try and recoup some money because it is kind of tough times right now for everybody. And that was a more kind of a mayor commission to that across the board for all positions.
Right, and also just an FYI, our ordinance and bylaws only allow for 10 ex officio member groups, so we can't just add them. We at some point are going to review who we have and who cares to participate with us, but there's a limit and it's full right now.
Okay. All right.
Ross, can I insert something as a member of the public?
Sure. Yes.
A member of the public who's married to a commissioner with the Cultural Affairs Commission, and they have 35 entries for art on the Greenway, as I understand it. And there'll be a user group sometime in the next week that'll make a judgment call about what they think is most appropriate for the Greenway.
Yeah, I had received an email and said that I would attend. Is this open invitation to this commission?
No,
No.
it's selected members. That's why you got a confidentiality statement with it. You got to sign also.
Yeah. Okay.
Leaked it.
Signed it. Yeah. Okay, Nat. Thank you.
Okay.
Anything else? All right. It's 5:32. Yeah. Pardon?
Move to adjourn.
Do I hear a second? Mac raised his hand. All in favor, aye. All right, and adjourned. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.